But the biggest break that I got is...
So the big question is, what are top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? To get the answers, we interview top real estate agents to learn their secrets to success. Listen, we believe every agent should make a minimum of $100,000 per year, and we're on a mission to make this happen. We've already helped over 100 agents achieve this with our coaching. So if you want to fast track your business growth, get to your first $100,000 in GCI or add another $100,000 in GCI using social strategies, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com, or you can just click the link in the description below. Also, just make sure to follow us, hit that subscribe button, and if you get any value from this at all, please tell a friend and leave us a review. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Elite Agent Secrets show. Today we got Cody with us. He's been a licensed real estate agent since 2018 in Oregon. And in 2020, he did 52 deals. And in 2021, he did 66 deals. So just in those 2 years alone, over 100 deals as essentially a new agent. So this is pretty insane. Cody's going to be sharing his top 3 secrets to success. Cody, thanks for agreeing to come on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Dude, those are some fucking crazy numbers. What are you doing, man?
Well,
don't tell us yet, but take us back to day one of why you made a terrible decision of becoming a real estate agent, so everybody has a little bit of context.
Okay, sure. So I bought, my wife and I bought our first house in 2016. And during that time, I was just working service industry. That's what I did before this, just bartending and serving, worked at a brewery. And everyone I talk to, they give you the whole horror story, like, oh, buying a house is so stressful and all this stuff. And, we kind of dove into it. And the more I learned about it, the process and just talking to the lender and kind of getting into this whole new world of what home buying is, I actually really liked it. I liked going into houses. I liked thinking about it. I'm just kind of creative like that. And we enjoyed it. And we bought our house in 2016. And then I was kind of we were kind of the first people in our group of friends to buy a house. So then all of our friends started buying houses, and they started asking me questions about, what's going on and how do you do that? And asking us questions. And I really like talking about it. So at some point you kind of just realize, you're like, okay, well, if I like this so much and I like talking about it so much, why am I not just doing it? And at that time I kind of hit the glass ceiling of service industry and being a bartender and stuff. So yeah, just got licensed. I went and talked to the brokerage that represented us as buyers. When we bought our house, I had a really nice conversation with my, now boss. His name's Maui, and really just serendipitous, all the universe magnets coming together, and it worked out perfectly.
How was it going from being a bartender to a real estate agent? Did you literally jump right in and quit your job? Did you transition? Were you part-time?
So I talked to, the way the timeline goes, I talked to Maui in November of 2017. And then I quit my job in my last day was February 2018, got my license in March 2018, and then, onboarded with the brokerage in late March, April. So during that time, I was also the executive director for a wind and water sports trade association, which it wasn't like bringing in a ton of money, but it gave me something to do when I wasn't, when I was getting started out. And it was a little bit of income, which was nice, but I also just saved money, and I just knew I was making a transition. Like any smart person is going to create a cushion for themselves so they can transition nicely into their new enterprise, right? So I just made sure I had enough pennies stacked up and just went for it.
Piled in. So tell us how that first year went. That was full time with a little bit on the side, or was it part time? And walk us through year 1, 2. We obviously know what 3 and 4 were. So what were year 1 and 2 like?
So year 1 and 2, full time. I didn't, like I said, that trade association thing, that was the last year I did that in 2018. And that was a perfect amount of busyness for that. And then as my business and real estate grew, I was able to, they meshed together really, really well. I'm really lucky. I got in with a great brokerage, and my boss, Maui, saw something in me that most people wouldn't. So he knew that if he gave me the leads and if he gave me the opportunity, that I would take advantage of it and go for it. And I did. And, you kind of got to bite the bullet out of that gate. And I'm not from here. I don't know anybody in this town. Like, I moved to the Gorge in 2012. A lot of just bartending and being on the water and being on the mountain bike trails. Like, my group of friends aren't buying houses. Contradictory to what I just said, my group of friends, I was the first out of them to buy houses, but I'm not in that sphere. My sphere of influence is not great. So, you got to bite the bullet, buy realtor.com leads, buy the Zillow leads. And I did. And we all know how that goes, but there is a percentage that produces leads. So I was able to do that. But the biggest break that I got is there was this ultra producer in our brokerage who was leaving town in 2018, like leaving town and moving across the country. And he identified in me a work ethic, and he said, "Hey, I'm leaving town. I need someone to carry on this business. I'm going to keep my license, and I need someone to basically just send referrals to." So given that opportunity, which was pretty much a silver platter, he gave me those leads at a pretty aggressive referral rate, but that's okay because it worked. It was beneficial to him. And I think it was even more beneficial to me, and something I'll be, forever grateful for. And I just took that ball and just ran with it.
So what did that look like with deals then in your first year?
First year, I got licensed in, April. I think I closed my first deal in May, and I did 22 or 24 deals that first year.
Wow.
That second year, I was able to, keep rolling with that, with that productivity. I think I did like 44, somewhere like in the mid 40s, something like
Holy
that.
Shit. So you've done 200 deals in 4 years, over 200.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are some nice numbers.
Those are some really solid numbers. And is that basically 100% from online leads then?
It's finally starting to transition to, hey, I worked with Cody, he's great, or my friends,
yeah,
the people I'm meeting are going. But I would say it's probably, I bet you it's about 70% online leads.
I love hearing that. We're a big proponent of
online lead gen.
Yeah, this is our style. But the thing is, what we love to hear is you're a brand new agent, no one type deal, like just selling homes to people using online leads. And then now it's taken 4 years, which is about right, 4 or 5 years, because we know that's the transaction cycle of a client. You should now, if you've done a good job, and that is the biggest caveat here, it's like, you've got to be fucking good at your job, where it's like they'll now start using you again and they'll start giving you referrals. Yeah. So what should happen is now, let's just, and again, for the audience, this is good. Let's say you're spending 10 grand a month on Zillow. No, you're not, it doesn't matter, but let's say you're spending 10K. Yep. Then you get an X number of leads. You do that for so many years. And then let's say, okay, well, year 5, like you, 25% of my business is now coming from referrals. Well, then let's say over the next 5 years, that's probably going to look something more like 75%, if not more, is probably now coming from referrals, because it'll just, every year now passes, you'll have to spend less on Zillow and you'll get more referrals. So your cost per acquisition, let's call it, over a 10-year period, if you include that and you now divide it out by now the referral business, is fucking minute. Like, it's so small, it's not even really worth considering, but you should consider it because you are a business, which actually wraps me into your first topic, which is having your house in order, like you are running a business. So break down why that is your first secret to success.
Okay, so the reason, and I had this in mind when I first got into this, I set myself up with a little cushion, and Maggie and I, we live within our means. That's just our practice. You know what I mean? We just live within our means. We run a pretty tight game. And saved up a nice little cushion. And the reason that I did that is so that I would never feel like I had to close a deal. That statement didn't really capture its whole meaning then as it does now. But the point that I'm trying to make is you can never insert yourself into a deal. You can never insert your needs or your life into a deal that's not yours, because it's your client's deal, right? It's a service-based industry. You're there for them. So if they need out or they want out, or the deal is just like, we need to run away from this deal, or we need to run away from this house, you have to be able to make that call on your client's behalf and not have any interest in yourself. And I think that that mantra, which is essentially, I don't need a paycheck and I don't need to make money, is what allowed me to kind of get off on the right foot, because I could just work for my people and that was it.
I'm interested from like, I guess, a mindset and a psychological level. I know you said you kind of live carefully, let's say. But when you're starting out, like you were obviously, tight. I know you took the deal from your broker or team lead and he was giving you leads. It's always hard. And I really think it shows strength of character, by the way, that when you kind of don't have a lot, that you always put other people's interests ahead of yours. Like even when you've got like nothing, for example, and someone goes, this is not the right thing for them and I'm still going to do the right thing, and you lose out, that always comes back tenfold in the future. It might come back in 10 years or 20 years, but that's quite a hard thing to do. I think it's beneficial for us and our listeners. How do you process that? Because it is difficult to go, actually, like, if I don't get this deal, like it doesn't matter because it's in the best interest of our clients. Like we do this stuff too, but it'd be interesting to see why and how you've dealt with that, in such a short period of time as well.
I think I think what it is I don't want people to buy stuff they don't want. And I especially don't want people to buy stuff that they don't need. And I don't even want to be a part of that, because, every time your house is your home, that thing you buy is your home. You're going to walk through that door every day. And every time you come home, you need to say, and you need to feel like this felt good. And I appreciate the process that went into it. And I'm not saying like people should be so grateful to me. I'm just a small piece of it. But the last thing I would ever want is for someone to walk through that door and be like, fuck, man, I wish I never bought this. I don't even want to be a part of that deal. So I am like, not overbearingly, but at the end of every inspection period, we're hashing everything out. Even sometimes before an offer, I'm like, hey, we got the inspection report back. How are you guys feeling? First of all, do you still want to buy this house? Then we kind of work from there. Hey, the feasibility period is ending. How are you guys feeling? Are you sure? There's other houses out there. I just really, really make sure and give people that opportunity to say, hey, we don't want this thing. And then, of course, there's some clients where you probably want to put that in writing. Are you sure?
So that's an interesting point that you make. So for anybody who's listening, when do you decide when to put that in writing? When do you decide, how to CYA yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, you're coming from really doing your fiduciary duty to the best of your ability. But there are always those few quote unquote bad apples, right? Where you're like, oh, I should have done that. Do you have like a standard practice? Do you have some kind of a guideline that you're like, or you're just like, oh, I have a bad feeling about this, I'm just going to cover my ass?
So the right answer is always, right? Everything should be in writing. The realistic answer is there are so many conversations that happen, but when things start going God, what's the best way to say it?
Tits up.
Yeah, pretty much you just kind of like start to get that feeling. You start to get that feeling in your stomach. You're just like, okay, this is starting to get weird.
There
But
is the gut instinct is a sixth sense. I swear to God.
yeah,
Your gut somehow, we haven't figured it out yet, but it somehow knows.
yeah, you just kind of know. You're like, I better get this down. But we also live in 2022. 80% of our conversations are via text. That's in writing. That's documented in writing. The initial conversations about some things, how you guys feeling, those are great phone conversations, how you feeling, all this stuff. But when it starts to get into a little more detail, you're going to want to get that in writing. Title reports. Hey, did you look at the title report, especially if that title report's a beast? How do you feel about the title report? Did you review it? They start asking questions about like, what's up with this easement? You should have a auto line. You should consult an attorney. You should seek legal counsel. And that's tough because it kind of feels like a cop-out because, you're supposed to be guiding these people, but knowing where your job begins and ends and where someone else's begins and ends is absolutely critical in this business.
It's interesting that you bring that up. I haven't personally experienced this yet, but it's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? But I've heard this happen over and over again. And depending on which state you're in, depends what state you're listening in. Some states are attorney states where there's actually a real estate agent and required attorney in the middle that does pretty much all the negotiations, doc review, and all that stuff. And then there's your clients, right? Mm-hmm. Florida is not one of them. It's me, the clients, and the other agent. So I love what you just said. Know where your job begins, know where it ends, and know exactly how to navigate those waters. Because ultimately, as much as we like to think and feel that we're doing the fiduciary duty, sometimes we're going to run across stuff that we just don't know. And when in doubt, you either got to ask your broker, consult an attorney, or say, hey, this is beyond the scope of where I'm actually licensed and able to help. This is where we should consult an attorney, a professional in that realm, especially when it comes to like financial, legal, fiduciary, taxes, all this other stuff, right? Recently in Florida, everyone's been cracking down, and I'm sure it's happening across the states, about us adding additional terms inside of these contracts as legal terms. Like you can't do that, right? So like we have a title company and they have attorneys, and we have to go to them and be like, hey, can you give us standard verbiage for ABC, XYZ? So then our asses aren't in hot waters when that contract gets put under scrutiny because we decided to put some shit in there about the appraisal gap that does not hold up whatsoever.
Yeah. So I'm licensed in Oregon and Washington. Oregon has it's an 11-page contract. It's pretty robust. We have a very good team of attorneys that help us build those contracts and forms. Same thing with Washington. However, in Washington, it is stated that when you write anything on a legal form outside of the boilerplate language, you are acting as an attorney, which is terrifying. Oregon, not so much. Well, Oregon, you got to be careful, but Washington, I'm on pins and needles the whole time. Just because it's one of those things I just always just default to consult, get legal counsel, talk to an attorney, whatever it is, because and Washington does not mess around with their punishments. If you are being a bad actor and not doing your job or mess up, because we live in a world where anybody can sue anybody for anything. It doesn't take anything.
Also, let's flip the tables. You have the best intentions ever. You think you're doing your client a good service. You're actually doing them a disservice because that's not your realm. That's like me trying to fix the car, put the engine back together, when anybody who's listening to this knows I don't know shit. You couldn't even get me to change the oil, right? yet alone trust me to put the engine back together so that shit doesn't like the pistons like don't just come out of the hood. I love cars. I'm a car guy. I like to think myself. I'm a non-mechanic car guy.
Everyone listening to this, there is a certain level of irony because I built race cars. I race cars. I built
that's
cars
exactly where I'm going with this, right? But that's like Andrew, where Andrew built or used to build in his previous life, like race cars, like legitimate Formula One race cars. So like put those two things, like he knows how to do that. I don't. An attorney knows the law way better and how to interpret the contract. And if he wants to rip you apart, he will, because your duty isn't to write the contracts and do any of that stuff. Your duty is to help your clients get the house and facilitate the buying or the selling of the property, not advising them on what legally they're bound, even though you may or may not have experience. You have to cover your ass.
Yeah.
To sum it up, it's like don't put yourself in like don't have liable stuff against you. Like just like it's like okay, you might feel like it's a cop out, but ultimately it's best served to you and them. So like that's going to be the nature of the beast. But we've spoken about running a business like a business, and obviously having your clients. Oh, and by the way, you might not have known this, but we've already helped over 100 agents cross over $100,000 per year and up in GCI with our predictable and scalable systems. So if you're interested in learning more about our courses and coaching to help you scale your business to 6 figures and beyond, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.